Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another station. It's time to do some doodling on a Saturday. Had a little trouble getting started this morning, but we're going to push on and get some doodles in. So let's do it. I think this morning we're gonna keep it pretty sketchbook feeling. We're not gonna try for some grandiose stuff. We're just gonna have a little fun, do some doodles. Not quite sure what to draw today, so I'm just gonna start by loosening up. Ah, morning, Jason. Nice to see you. Ah, playing Elden Ring. Yeah, I've been watching a couple people play it. It is definitely the hot thing right now. I'll get around to it. I don't know if I'm going to stream it, though, just like you had said. I mean, for me, definitely, my skill level with that style of game is not anything that I want to broadcast to anybody. Uh, so yeah, I'll get around to it. It looks like it's a really fun world to be in. So yeah, enjoy that. I'll be going after some dragons and such a little bit later this weekend, I think. The world that it's in is gorgeous. I love the I watched just a little bit of PewDiePie's playthrough and I saw him walking through a landscape with like these gorgeous gold trees and it's sort of glowing. The characters look a little strange, but they always do, so it's like getting used to that. Getting used to the aesthetic of the world. The character that he was playing looked a little bit like a grown-up Toad, just had really big mushroomy sort of hat. What did you go for with class? I assume that you can choose like job and stuff like that with it. I think we'll go for a little bit of a like an urban cityscape. Don't want to go too crazy. because I'm only giving myself about an hour to draw. But we can do a little landscapey stuff. Ah, yes, the first boss. What completely kicked my ass in Dark Souls and sort of set the tone for how I was going to feel about that whole series. It seems like with their style of game, though, like once you sort of figure out the combat style, then it sort of falls into place. Not necessarily that it becomes easier, uh, but you at least know how to solve for the problem. Whereas at the beginning, it's literally just hitting your head against a wall over and over and over again. Or at least it was for me. But it takes me a while to get warmed up to that style of game. I look forward to seeing what the bosses look like. That's probably my favorite thing about watching those series is how imaginative they can get with their character design. It just everything sort of just like clumps on, and it looks vaguely familiar but really foreign and bizarre at the same time. Throw in a little random geometry here and there. Some stuff kind of grow out of that. Have those be adjacent planters, maybe. And it's an urban landscape, so we don't want it to look too lush. But maybe this is the only vegetation that grows in this world of concrete, so maybe they have little bushes for extra oxygen and freshness. Do that here. You're not going to see the tree stalk, but you would see some of that foliage come around. Oh, well, maybe not quite that much foliage. Make the entryway more accessible looking. Oh, Jason, I ran into Darren yesterday. He lives up here, and his daughter is in the Girl Scouts, and she was selling cookies. So I reached out, said I wanted to grab a few. Can always use more Girl Scout cookies, that's for sure. Especially them Do-si-dos, the peanut butter sandwiches. Far superior, in my opinion. But my partner, Layla, would say the, oh, what is it? It's the ones with the coconut, the toffee, the caramel, the chocolate. Samoas, I think they are. I think they're the Samoas. She likes those best. They're so good. Love them. There's a little door over there. Putting a happy little door. Check my restream chat to make sure that I'm not missing anything from elsewhere. Gotcha. Okay. Looks like it's just Twitch right now. Anybody on Facebook, YouTube? Hello? Hello? Nice to see you all. Trying to extend my reach just a little bit. I think this alleyway is a little too tight, so we're gonna open that up a bit more. That is better. Okay, we can erase this. I even want that person a little further. You know, he might be. He didn't mention it. He was kind of just dropping stuff off. We talked for a minute. It was nice to catch up with him. Seems like he's doing. Gotta turn off the old text messages. There we go. Seems like he's doing pretty well. Said he's just like working at Au Cheval, which is like a high-end restaurant up here in Chicago, and raising his girl Rosie and spending time with, I think his partner's name's Nicolette. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. They seem like they're pretty serious. Hoping to spend a little bit more time with him this summer. Like maybe we can go skateboarding or even just like hang out a little bit more. It'd be cool to see him. It's always nice to see old friends. Oh, and Jason, this spring, this summer, when I'm coming down to Effingham, we gotta hang out more. Put in some IRL time as well. I'm usually just not really good about that when I go back home because visiting my folks sort of just takes up all the time that I have because I come down on a Saturday morning, leave on a Sunday afternoon. But I think we can squeeze in some time. I can figure out something. Maybe it's coming down a little bit earlier or something like that. Gotta find time to make time. Let's see, we're gonna go for a little bit of a cyberpunky thing, but nothing too cyberpunked out. I want it to feel like it used to be an older space. You want to feel the remnants of culture, you want to feel the remnants of other worlds stacked on top of each other. I think that's what really is like this cyberpunk aesthetic. Steampunk too, though, really. I mean, it's just kind of stuff on top of stuff, just sort of retrofitted. It's not designed to look the way it looks. It looks the way it looks because it had to, because of how many pre-existing things were already there. Not as if I'm any authority on cyberpunk, that's for sure. But from a layman, from an illustrator's outside perspective, that's what I say. Right, from there, that would go over. I think we want to keep that going. Maybe that can be a poster. And we can have another adjacent poster. And the same vanishing point. But you want to have stuff set up. We want a little bit of clutter. I think we could use a little gutter right here, a little downspout. And that, my friends, will lead into the tree here, which is why it's growing so well. So much easier to draw buildings and organic shapes than it is people. I think I went a little harsh on my jawline, so we're going to soften that up just a bit. There we go. Now we're cooking with Crisco. Right, maybe, do I wish to pull out cobblestone? I don't think we're gonna do a full cobblestone. Let's hint at it. We'll hint at a rough ground. By just draw in the highlights, you'll get the impression. This is almost like working on Sketchbook right now. I will hopefully add a little color in as we get going, but I want to have a nice foundation before I start adding any kind of finish to any of it. There we go. Corey, it's his favorite class. Glad that's a memory we get to share. Iwo Jima into the bleachers. What an interesting character. What a bizarre character. For those of you who don't know, Jason and I are talking about an old gym teacher that we had back in Effingham High School. And he was a character. I feel like gym teachers in general are pretty unique within the school system. They're always a little bit more... They're a little different. They're built different than other teachers. I don't think that they have to go through the same rigmarole that the other teachers do. But yeah, they're definitely a different type. I feel like as long as they're still kind, it's a blast. It's so much fun dealing with all the different sorts of personalities you can run into. You do run into some like toxic folks with it, but I felt like he was kind of on the line. Where like generally he was pretty okay. Sometimes he'd say stuff and you're like, where are you coming from? But mostly he was just kind of entertaining. He was just some strange man telling you to run. He was good in driver's ed? Oh, I can't imagine having him in driver's ed. That would be a trip. Although I mean I had Higgs, so not all that different. It's all unique, strange, fun stuff. And driver's ed, what What a wild, insane time. It's when you found out that some of your friends were terrible drivers. I remember I was in the car with Devin, and he just liked to turn when it was time for him to turn. It wasn't really necessary to look at if the street allowed for it, so we did a lot of wrong ways down to one ways, and every time, just watching Mr. Fleener lose his mind in the passenger seat was it was very entertaining. It's kind of weird practice, though, especially for school when you've got like 4 or 5 people, like students in the car, and the person who's driving is also a student who's learning to drive. I don't know. It's kind of. I mean, I get it from a management of time way, but it feels a little spooky. As soon as it warms, well, I guess we don't really have to wait till it warms up, but Layla does not have her license just yet, and we are working on that currently. So hopefully by this time next year, my partner will be able to drive as well. But yeah, it's different, because I can remember when I learned how to drive, it was very much like, I've got it, I've got it. Don't worry about it, everybody. It's fine, it's fine. And everyone else around you is sort of white-knuckling and freaking out. And now that I'm teaching, I'm doing the same thing. I think it's when it's your car. Is part of it. And you just become accustomed to the way you move and the way you drive and the things you prefer. But yeah, living in the city, you don't have to. You don't have to have a driver's license. You don't need to drive. Ideally, you don't have a car. For the first 7 years that I was in Chicago, I did not have a car, and I loved it. No car payments. Just a little inconvenient every once in a while. Like when I would go home, I would just take the Amtrak, and my parents would pick me up. And that was fine. I'd go back to it, honestly, if I did not work in the suburbs and live in the city. I would absolutely go back to a no-car situation. They're convenient, but I prefer biking and stuff like that while I can. Who knows? You never know how long you'll be able, so I feel like it's good to enjoy it while you've got it. Try to, anyway. I say, even though I've been hermiting inside for months and months and months and months. I'm ready to get out, though. I'm ready to start exploring a little bit more. Our numbers are going way, way down up here in Chicago at last. So as I heard somebody say on the radio the other day, we might have just bought us a nice spring. Hoping that holds out. It would be lovely just to go outside, honestly. Just like go to the beach, do some warm activities. Tired of the cold and the gray all the time. Alright. It is time to start throwing some color into this. So we're going to get moving along. I think we need another human, though. My focus is a little all over the place. Get some wires thrown in. Got a little chaos in there. It's all a little too planned looking right now. So Jason, are you streaming Elden Ring today as well, or are you going to stream something else? Or are you not streaming at all today? I assume that you're streaming at noon, as you generally do. Let's see. Shoulders a little big. Okay. There we go. That's looking alright. Alright. Now we're ready for a little color. Let's go to it. My favorite red. Let's start with some city tones. Do I want it warm or cold? If we're going cyberpunk, I feel like it probably ought to be a little cooler. A little dustier. Not a bad start. I think that's a good base. With that, let's go in with ye old airbrush. Mask out some of it. I think we want less here. Let's get some nice darkening towards that alleyway, which will pull focus towards the shop. It's doing pretty good. Same with this alleyway. We're gonna want some darkness here. You always want a little darker right in the corners because you're not getting as much light reflecting into those really tight spots just because they're smaller. So they'll always have a little bit of darkness, like a contact shadow is what it's called. Same with right next to Zibero, the ground. We'll do a little bit more work once we start working on this person. We haven't really fleshed them out. We want that on the ground here. Just gives a little more depth. Keep drifting our way through here. Don't worry about drawing over characters as you do it, because we're using masks. We can go right back over with that color, and we will. Okay, now we're starting to get a little bit more depth in here. Alright, that thing I said about going back in, we're going to do right now. So I darken in the tree, I go all over, I'm gonna do just a little around them. Okay, now we have some toning happening. It's still a little bright for my liking, but I think that we're gonna make it feel darker in a minute. Okay, now I just go back in with my texture brush that I was using before. That's already at the right. There, blow it up. Now, I can actually bring back that color as it was before, and we have this nice shadow that the tree gets to live in. Just gives a little bit more punch. Might not. And I mean, these are very conceptual, rough doodles. One of these days I'll do a nice long stream of a finished illustration to show that I can do more than just scribbles and doodles. It's kind of just a fun way for me to unwind, though. Spend the whole week drawing for other folks or doing design work for other people. It's fun just to kind of do something that doesn't have to be finished, doesn't have to look fantastic. Let's see, is that what I want? I don't know if I want that. A little too dark. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. There we go. Okay, there's one color. Let's see what we want the skin. Well, the skin tone's going to be pretty close to what's around it. Truth be told. But I think we're gonna still want to do our own skin tone, just so that it doesn't look like it's a bunch of models that don't have any kind of color treatment to them. So there, I've flattened them back out. And once I've flattened them out, you can see how much the background airbrush stands out. Okay, from there, let's add that new color in. You want it to be warmer, but nothing too crazy. So I want to play with like the warm and cool a little bit, see what I can do with that. Let's see how that works. sure if that's the move. I do like that color for the tree, though. Let's try to work with it. It's just a sketch. Okay. Let's do another color. Let's see, actually. Duplicate that one. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. That's the darkest I want it to get. So now that I know that's the darkest I want it to get, I can just paint out, basically remove all my highlights. This nice reductive process. There we go. It's a very poster style of kind of building depth. Always been my favorite look. I love graphic color. Nice punch. We're supposed to be painting in the mid-tone right now. We're not doing like highlights, so we're just leaving in the dark where we want the dark. Around the eyes, nose. That should be a highlight there. Here. Okay. We'll leave this part in shadow. There we go. That's looking better. Under the neck, we still want to be in shadow, but we want some nice edge lighting. Shoulders would definitely catch light. This person has bigger than average shoulders for sure, but they also have kind of a bio-mech look to them. Their neck's a little bit longer than it ought to be. They're a little stiff looking. So I think it's okay to take some liberties with the anatomy in this case. Same with this person, give them a little bit of light. Nothing too crazy. They're in the background. We don't want them to stand out too much. Alright, next up. Let's keep working. Let's really dial in on this face. Okay, we've done the shadows. We've done the midtones, and it is time for the highlights. So, the highlight, I think we should have a little bit of, if it's a highlight, it shouldn't be cool, even in a cool situation like this. Let's go for some alternative light source. Do I want to do that? Let's start with a skin tone. Let's not go too crazy, too off the rails. Let's go with a natural skin tone and see where it takes us. Okay, we'll start with that. That's significantly brighter. I don't quite know what I'm doing with it yet. Okay. Now I do the reverse of what I had been doing. I cut out anything that's not highlight. It's nice to look at it, this brush kind of tight in too, because it has so much texture to it that you don't get to see when you're zoomed way back. Okay, we don't really need highlights on the ear, on most of the ear, but I think the top of the ear would be nice to have some of that for. Definitely no highlight on the bottom of the nose, but maybe we want a nice strip of it going across the bridge. And maybe we want just a hint of one on that nostril. Definitely hollow the eyes a little bit. Don't go too crazy with hollowing out the eyes. Okay. There a little bit. I feel like we're doing okay. We're doing all right with this one. There we go. The spheres like the skull, you really have to kind of hit that rounded edge as you go around it to keep that feel. Alright. Moving our way on down. Nice shaded spot there, which quickly turns into a highlight. There we go. We definitely don't need quite all this highlight in the tree. What is this, Elden Ring? Trees don't look like that in whatever world I'm drawing. Although so far, I mean, the limited scope of what I've seen of Elden Ring, the trees are like the one thing that stood out to me, like, wow. That's a real pretty tree you got there. That is a very pretty tree. A little more color there. A little shadow. we're looking all right there. Let's throw some color on these buildings. Actually, I wonder what it looks like if I take off my... not quite there yet. Not quite ready for no lines. Let's throw in some more color. Let's do... I keep wanting to choose like a blue for the buildings, but... just not sure. You know, we'll take that color. Do the same thing we've been doing. Okay. I think I want that data. And from here we can do a little more detail. I think we've got enough cool colors in the palette right now. Time to bring in a nice vibrant red. So let's bring in that red. Make sure that it plays nice with the skin tones we've already laid in. That seems pretty good. Hope that doesn't clash against the blue too much. And drop it out of existence until I need it. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, that's a nice red. There, just that little red awning. puts a little more reality in the world. From there, we can add in little elements of red, which could be seen as warnings, stickers. It's just extra visual noise, really. I mean, if you're doing an advertisement, you want that to be in a nice bright color. So we do a little bit of that. I don't think I want that person wearing red. I don't want to overkill it. Just want to make sure we have a nice smattering. Composition's starting to look alright. Pretty happy with the person, at least. Let's go a little tighter over here. Let's see if we can't clean up just a bit of this. Alright, can I remove that and still hold on? Let's do our line work on a colored. That way we can change it if we don't like it. It's usually with compositions like this, like if you look in animation, sometimes they use truly black lines, but generally you're going to use a tinted line to act. It gives it more depth. It makes it feel more real. If you look at anything in the real world, there's not hard black lines around everything. So if you use the line as a version of the color, it feels more warm and natural. So we're going to get close to black, but not quite black at first. Alright, let's do a little inky practice. After a sip of coffee, gotta have your coffee. Delicious. Okay. Let's go. Get that brush a little smaller. Go. It's the eye orbital. Now we want the eye to be open without looking too open. that looks alright. Could be a little more in the corner here. There, that's better. Here, there. I think that's pretty close to where the ear should be. Okay. I think my chin's just a little on the sharp side. What do you think? Let's cut that out. Just a minor erase. Round chin. Try again. And out and around. That's better. Still a little soft, but better. I think we'll just do... Don't want to go too anime. We can be a little stylized. But I don't want full anime. Much as I do enjoy the aesthetic. Okay, make sure we're doing okay so far. Looks a little different than how we were before. But we were closed before. Carry on. Carry on, carry on. It's true. Facial hair is the true masking agent for artists. Facial hair, boots, and gloves. If you put mittens on your character, you are set. You don't have to draw fingers. So much easier. Alright, so let's do a little bit of the landscape. Don't want to go two banana sandwiches on it. But a little. Not that line. Okay, so let's see. That's attached to the building on the side, so it would have to be... Okay, yeah. Just had to take out a minute to remember how architecture works, that's all. Oh yeah, for sure. Sunglasses, any of that stuff. Any way to hide your character. Hide your horrible anatomy. Human anatomy is just so hard to draw. It's because we're designed to notice when something's wrong. So as soon as you notice that a digit's in the wrong place, you might not know what's wrong, but you'll look at it and be like, it ain't right. I don't know why it ain't right, but it ain't right. Part of going to school is just learning how to look at something and in an instant be like, ah, that's what's broken. Okay. Getting closer. Let's get that downspout, because I feel like I'm going to lose that if I don't get started on it. Much better. There we go. All right. Well, Jason, thanks for stopping in, dude. I'll be stopping by your stream shortly. Go just a little bit longer with this, I think, and then I'll be heading over to check it out. You doing Snow Runner or more Elden Ring today? I will be happy to watch either, to be perfectly honest. Have a great stream. Elden Ring. Yeah. Alright. Have a great stream, man. I'll see you out there. Thanks for stopping by. Alright, everybody. We're almost coming to an end with this one. I know the drawing's not quite finished, but we are nearing the end of the time we have together today. Gotta grab lunch, gotta watch Jason's stream, get some chows done. You know, typical Saturday stuff. Give me that Spanish guitar. I could get into that. Anybody else out there drawing along with me? Got some drawings you got going on today? I'm using this to sort of warm up. I've got a couple other projects that I'll be working on today and tomorrow for some friends. Looking forward to working on those. Little logo design, business card project, and a catalog. And a catalog might not sound like a fun thing to design, but I don't know. I love putting things in order. I think being a graphic designer has sort of given me a new appreciation for organization. Because your job is basically to find the best way of organizing things so that they're quickly and easily read and understood. So I am actually looking forward to doing both of those projects a little bit later today. And this has been a lovely warm-up exercise. Thanks for stopping in. I don't usually post these on YouTube, but I figured I'd give it a shot, see if anyone's interested. If people like watching it, I'll keep making more. Okay, we're looking a little dark in those eye sockets, so let's lighten that up a bit. Because if you have that light coming from the area we have, which is sort of above the person and in front of them, you're still going to get some of that on the eyelid. And on the top side of the underlid, just barely touching it, you're going to get that too. And realistically, if that's the color you're surrounded by, you're going to see that in the white of the eye a little too. So we'll do just a little bit of that over here. There we go. We don't want to get too much into toning with this one because that's just not what we're going for. We want like a nice graphic look with a gritty edge to it. So I'm just going to clean this up just a taste. Still like the rough look of it. You don't want it to be messy. It can be loose without being sloppy. And now that I have some line work in there, I can actually... I know what I need and what I don't need for it. It seems to be that layer. No, that's not what I wanted. It'd be a fun experiment to go completely lineless in one of these. Got a plan for that composition, though. Not every composition works without lines. But it is a fun reveal once you're finished, that's for sure. Okay, let's get a nice highlight on it. And now that we're finishing things like the trash can, you can add stuff to it that sort of grounds it in reality. You want it to give it some ridges, you want texture, you want it to feel like it lives in a real world. So like, how would this be lifted? How does this device get used? You want to think about that when you're drawing, because it informs the choices that you make and it makes it look better. Gives it a real world. If you're drawing a world, you want to reward people for spending time with your work. So give them something to see. Nice little wood grain. Few little hatch lines. Don't want to go too hatch crazy, but I am a big fan of repeating lines, hatch lines, cross hatch lines. Just gotta be careful, because as you can see in my sketch, it gets very busy very quickly. Looking a little chunky with the line work, but again, this is the sketchbook, this ain't the finish. If anyone has any interest in seeing me do some more finished pieces, hit me up, let me know. Let me know in the comments for YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. Hit me up. I love to do it. I don't get to do it nearly as often as I once did, so please, happy to have a reason to draw. That barrel. A little bit there. There we go. Alright. 12:08, y'all. 12:08. I think we're gonna call it on that one. Hate to leave something looking quite so unfinished. Just enough to call it a piece. Yeah, I think we should start doing maybe some late night draws. Just like a draw in chat. I think that would be fun. Gives me a little bit more time to kind of finish a piece. I've got to figure out a good pacing too, to make sure that we have time to actually complete a piece, because that's something I've been struggling with. It's just how ambitious do I want to be with each drawing? A little time blind at times, so it's kind of hard to tell how long each piece is going to take. But I think that would be fun. If you guys want to join me in that, just let me know. I gotta know what you like to keep doing more of it. And I think for now, for today, we're gonna call that. It's a pretty loose sketch, but we started off with absolutely zero idea what we were gonna do going into it. And now we've got the beginnings of a scene. If I wanted to finish this, I can take it further and further. I could work on this for another 6 hours if I wanted to, and it still wouldn't be finished. But those are the bare bones. That's how you get started. And when you look at it, for the first half hour or so, you might not care much for it. And art really is about persisting and pushing your way through it, whether or not you're feeling it at that moment or not. Sometimes you have to just keep going, and eventually you will get to a place where you're happy with it. And that's where we're at right now. I'm happy with it. It's not finished, it's not perfect, but I like the color decisions that I made. I like my composition decently well, and we're making progress. So thanks everybody for stopping in. Appreciate it. I'll be back next Saturday. Try to be here every Saturday at 10:30 for sketching, chats, hangouts, morning coffee, whatever you want. I'll be here, so stop on by anytime. Thank you. Stay safe out there.